My next guest that I want to bring up is a lecturer in history at both the American University of Beirut and the Lebanese American University, LAU, another incredible institution in Lebanon. He is the author of several books, as well as holding degrees this is just, at this moment, I just feel so incompetent right now. Bachelor's, master's degrees in history from AUB, and also a PhD in history from Georgetown University. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our next guest, a guy I'm actually a very big personal fan of, Mr. Makram, or Dr. rather, Makram Rabah. Dr. Rabah, how are you today?
Hi, NEMR, how are you?
I'm doing... Are those horses behind you in the...
Actually, this is a very famous picture of the end of World War II, where the Soviets were celebrating the defeat of fascism. And this is something that we Lebanese are still struggling with. So we are looking for a country that we can call ours and basically defeat fascism in all forms. Fascism that promotes racism, that promotes bigotry and hate. This is why I have this picture in my living room, to remind everyone what's important here, including AUB.
I couldn't agree more. Fascism is now like a real global threat, at least here in America. I can tell you that much right now for sure. And I know in Lebanon it's a threat. And in your mind, with everything you're seeing as a historian, as a lecturer, you see students, you see the new generation, you're in AUB, you're in the ecosystem. Should we have hope? Is AUB an institution that, if people believe in it, can help?
We cannot but have hope for a number of reasons. First of all, when I came to AUB back in 1999, I happened to stay. I haven't left AUB. Even when I went to do my PhD at Georgetown, as you mentioned, I was still connected to AUB. And now you mentioned I used to teach at LAU. Now I'm a full-time lecturer, and I'm in constant contact with these young minds who are not only people who are trying to get an education, but rather to become really the defenders of Lebanon. We are not training people to leave this country. You might have left because you need to pursue your career outside, but you still think about Lebanon and think about AUB.
Oh, I travel the Middle East, and Lebanon is my home base. That's where I'm at. I'm basically here now just because of the corona. I'm limiting my travel as much as possible. Otherwise, I'd be in Lebanon. My parents are there. I'm 100% on board with you on that.
And more importantly, we're not asking about money. We're asking about moral commitment. This university has the ability to fundraise on its own, because basically, even though we have a lot of haters, people who like to take shots at AUB and accuse us of being tools of the West, we are tools of no one. We are a platform that allows analytical thinking. And when anyone gets sick or anyone wants to send their kid to school, they think about AUB. Anyone who even promotes these anti-Western gibberish, and we are a liberal arts education who has given not only to Lebanon and to the region, but to the world. You get to bump into people who will tell you AUB. They know AUB. They might not know who the president of the republic is. They don't care who the president of the republic is. I am in a constant contact with my students, and I see them progress. I see them go out, and they are ambassadors of change, not only the Lebanese brand of change, but we belong to I don't want to call it a club, because basically, even though a lot of people did not come to AUB, they still understand why is it important. It is not only necessary, it's crucial, it's imperative, it's indispensable. We can go on and on. And this is not a commitment for money. I am a historian on AUB, but I can tell you, I could also predict the future. This region doesn't have a fighting chance without institutions such as AUB, such as USG, such as a lot of institutions here, which are fighting despite the fact that we have criminals who are running this country, who would like to get rid of AUB or turn AUB into a tool that they can use to promote their own ideologies.
Of course. I mean, I went to AUB and I started, I think, 1999, 2000 that year. There's always a desperate attempt to infiltrate that campus and every campus in Lebanon. There's always a desperate attempt, all universities in Lebanon. And I think it's appropriate for us to shout out the educational institutions of Lebanon for being such powerful pillars of resistance with education.
I don't know if you came across this 2 days ago, people were celebrating the fact that the revolution had won at LEU student elections.
Yes.
They did not notice the fact that the reason why these independent voices were heard was that the system allowed this to happen.
Yes.
This is exactly what used to happen at AUB.
Yes.
Even if you ran on an independent platform, you still get elected and you still get heard. And at the end of the day, I'm not someone who looks at political parties as being the ultimate evil. No.
Of course.
Political activism is valid as long as we are all playing under one rule and basically
on a level, as long as it's a level playing field. Exactly.
The Constitution, or at AUB, that you are a student first, and then you're a political activist. And this is what I used to promote as a political activist and now as a lecturer.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I would like to remind you, remember when you were graduating in 2006 and everyone was drunk and I wanted to end the graduation party. So I grabbed NEMR and I told him, could you actually say a couple of announcements on the mic? He himself was, of course, at 4 a.m. NEMR was like the rest, almost drunk, and people did not want to leave. They were happy that we were graduating UB.
Yep.
And NEMR was so kind to tell them that
we got to leave.
The bar has closed, and they went crazy.
Do you remember that? You put me.
Yeah, of course.
And I didn't want to bring it up, but you put me as public enemy number 1. I was a popular guy. I was doing stand-up. People love me. You're like, NEMR, how about you shut down the party with your giant voice?
First of all, you have a good voice, you have a good accent, and everyone likes you.
Well, man, it is so good to reconnect after all this time. You are an inspiration to so many people, and as a teacher, I really wish that I was a student when you were teaching. Let's just put it that way.
Well, you never stop learning, and again, what we teach in the university is not books. We teach to people every day, and this is something you do with you have people that enjoy actually
Makram, we're losing you, unfortunately. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, the internet was dying for a second.
Well, just like you are in the entertainment business, and I had the pleasure also of meeting Natalie a couple of months ago.
Yes.
We all are trying to promote what EUB stands for in different ways. I'm a historian, you're a comedian. Everyone could bring in, even if you are not a graduate of EUB, always be reminded that Lebanon is great because of institutions like EUB. Many of the Arab countries which are now doing really well started because of AUB graduates who went back home and they believed in their country and they believed in liberal thinking. This is what we should always do. And if you think that money will last, money doesn't last.
No.
Your legacy will last.
That's very true.
If you give AUB, this is a better legacy for us and for our future children.
100%. 100%. Thank you so much for joining us, Makram, today. You take care of yourself, and I'll see you at a much more sober future between you.
Take care and cheers, man.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
That was